The Microsoft earning reports are out, and Xbox has done some big numbers. They boast about some interesting stuff here. Stuff that we talked about in the previous video about Xbox on PlayStation, but we will go over everything with that. PlayStation fans, they are crying out to PlayStation themselves, emailing them about the recent job posting and the potential for more multi-platform games. We have news on a Nintendo Direct, as well as what WB Games is working on, kind of head scratching that they're still going in this direction. And the beta dates for Battlefield 6 have been revealed. But before we do get into it, if you do enjoy daily gaming news and content, make sure to hit the subscribe, share, like. All of those things help the channel, help get it out there to more people. So I do appreciate it. But for now, let's get into it. So the financial reports for Microsoft have come out. They talked about everything in the business, but obviously what we care about here is how is Xbox doing here for their fourth and final quarter of 2025? How is the Xbox business doing? As we always hear every couple of weeks, people saying Xbox is dead, which is absolutely ridiculous when you do take a look at their strategy, where they are going, and just the success of their ecosystem, how it continues to expand out. Yesterday, we showed and talked about how Xbox is dominating PlayStation. They are the top sellers on the platform. In fact, there are 6 out of the 10 top selling games right now in 2025. I can see that continuing going forward as they do continue to put out more games. PlayStation gamers will want to play those, and they'll go ahead and buy them at full price. So it's a very smart move from everything that we have seen. And some of those numbers are actually reflected here in their financial reports. But let's take a look at how they are doing and just exactly where is Xbox right now. So in terms of gaming and Xbox and Microsoft, the content and services revenue, which includes Xbox Game Pass, is up by 13% this quarter, which is obviously a good amount. They're a good number of percentage increase where they want to see it going. One of the things we don't know still is the official number of Game Pass subscribers. The last time we actually got a number given to us officially from Microsoft themselves was in February of 2024, where there were 34 million subscribers. I would venture to guess, especially after the release of Call of Duty and Game Pass and upcoming Black Ops 7, that there is going to be a much bigger number here next time they do finally give us the answer how many subscribers are on there. In terms of games on PlayStation, Satya Nadella himself recognize how big of a publisher Xbox is on PlayStation. He says this: we are now the top publisher on both Xbox and PlayStation this quarter. So top publisher on both of those platforms. And that's what their goal is. They want to be a top publisher. They may even end up at some point being a top publisher on Nintendo if they release more games onto the Nintendo Switch 2, which we're getting a direct today. So that could happen where we see more Xbox games released on, and we'll go over that tweet later on in the video. They say the Game Pass annual revenue was nearly $5 billion for the first time. And they have confirmed that Microsoft has 500 million monthly active users across gaming platforms. Which is funny about this is that the whole talk about Game Pass being unsustainable and not making money and all of the ridiculousness surrounding that, if you remember with the whole Christopher Drink thing where he came out, and I made an entire video about that. It was just absolutely absurd. But Game Pass is clearly making money, clearly sustainable as of right now, and I think it will continue to be sustainable. But $5 billion is a lot of money for the Game Pass annual revenue. That's tons and tons that they are bringing in there, and that will just continue to grow as they continue to add more games into the subscription service. Now, the bad parts about their financial reports when it comes to Xbox, so that was all very good, is that hardware, bad but not surprising, the hardware continues to drop. The hardware revenue specifically continues to drop, as it is down 22% this quarter, and Game Pass has actually done very good despite all of that. But there's a couple of reasons. We're at the end of the generation, and they increased the prices of these consoles. They bumped it up by $100. So you're still paying $600 for an Xbox Series X, which 5 years after the console releases is absolutely ridiculous. People aren't going to want to go out there and buy that for that price. The $100 increase is absurd. They're doing this probably because they just don't care anymore about losing money on these consoles. They just want to sell it, people who will want it will go out and buy it, and they're not going to try to subsidize them anymore. And that's where you really start to think about the next generation and the fact that the next gen is going to be pretty expensive. They don't want to subsidize their first party consoles anymore. So they're going to be releasing them at a far higher price, and they'll be able to put more power and more stuff into it. Something we talked about last video yesterday with the tech specs that have been potentially revealed here or leaked. Although those things could change, it does sound like the next generation Xbox is going to be a massive, massive leap, but I think it will also be very, very expensive. It says here, the overall gaming revenue, Microsoft is up 10% year over year and has increased by $2 billion for the entire fiscal year. And Xbox content and services revenue has also increased by 16% for the fiscal year, but Xbox hardware revenue has increased by 25% in the fiscal year, driven by lower volume of consoles sold. And looking forward to the next quarter, Q1 of fiscal 2026, they're actually expecting Xbox content and services revenue to decline in the mid-single digits, alongside an overall gaming revenue decline in the mid to high single digits. But we'll see how it all goes. As of right now, Xbox is very successful. The division is bringing them in a ton of money. And the whole narrative and talk about Xbox is that anytime any negative news comes out about the brand, stuff like this just shows you even more how absurd those talking points are. They're not backed by any sort of data. They're not backed by anything here that would actually say, oh, that makes sense. Xbox is dead and dying. It's not. It's actually growing. It's actually doing very, very good. It's just changing. It's turned into something different than from what we know from like the 360 generation. But I think overall, it's better for the consumer and better for the gamer as we are continuously getting more and more games. And we're obviously seeing PlayStation follow along those footsteps. Xbox was just the first one there to make that massive pivot. So Game Pass is thriving. Their content and services is thriving. If you're a fan of the brand, if you're a fan of the ecosystem, you can just continuously now expect more games and for it to get better. That's really at the end of the day all that matters. These numbers are not for the gamers, they're really just for the shareholders or for people who are invested in this from the monetary perspective. But reality is, if you're on Game Pass, you're in the ecosystem. I think going forward now and to next generation, we're going to get more games, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Call of Duty itself, Black Ops 6 actually specifically, has just been doing very good and continues to do good. It has actually reached here a pretty big staggering number of people who have played it. Reached over 50 million players. So that would include sales, that would include Game Pass subscriptions and all of that. People who have jumped in and played the game. We do remember when it did drop into Game Pass, Satya Nadella coming out and saying it provided the biggest jump ever in Game Pass. It also did really good in sales, so it was a win-win on both of those fronts in terms of increasing the subscription and just overall having good sales, which is what I predicted. People were thinking it would cannibalize sales so much that putting it in Game Pass would hurt it. It did not. Same thing will happen with Black Ops 7. That game will sell extremely well and it will do well in Game Pass. I would say the bigger factor against Black Ops 7 doing well will be Battlefield 6 and how well that does, because that game is looking very good. And speaking of Battlefield 6, we got some information here on the beta dates. We're going to get all this today. There's going to be a big presentation on the multiplayer for Battlefield 6. I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to see what it is all about, but there will be a beta, an open beta, and a closed beta, and we have the dates already here that were leaked. So, I mean, you'll get these today as well, but here are the beta dates for the game if you are looking to jump in and play this when this beta does drop. They say, according to sources who wish to remain anonymous as they were not authorized to discuss Battlefield 6's beta plans, there will be 2 betas during August, starting with the closed one on August 7th. So August 7th and 8th will be the closed beta, where codes can be obtained through Twitch drops from one of the hundreds of content creators streaming the event during the multiplayer reveal, or codes can be obtained by pre-ordering the game. You can pre-order it, get the code. If you don't like it, cancel your pre-order. And then they say that there will be a beta that will open up on August 9th and 10th as the open beta phase. And then there will be a second open beta, which will also take place from August 14th to 17th. So 3 betas here, 1 closed, 2 open to check out this game before it drops. And as we know, the release date has been leaked here for October 10th for Battlefield 6. I'm looking forward to it. I think this will be a good game. Hopefully it'll bring Battlefield back to prominence, and we'll see a lot more about it today. All right, let's talk PlayStation, the whole multi-platform push that they are going on, and the fans behind the brand. It is A very interesting thing, I believe, when people get super stressed out and angry and mad that other people are actually going to be able to play a game. I think at this point, we have a lot of statistics, we have a lot of data showing, specifically here on the PlayStation side of things when it comes to consoles, is that exclusives are not the main thing why people do buy consoles. And even if games land on other platforms, people are still going to go pick it up on their preferred platform, and they're still going to go ahead and buy those consoles. Like, I think with the PlayStation 6, even if games land on the Nintendo Switch 2 and on Xbox, I don't think the PS6 is going to just crater in terms of sales. I think it will still sell very well, as they have a loyal fan base who have spent thousands of dollars in a digital library of games on PlayStation. They're not just going to move away from picking up a PlayStation 6 because people on Xbox can play it. And social media, when you see the fanboys crying about this, does not represent the majority of people out there who probably just don't care that Xbox gamers and Nintendo gamers are going to get PlayStation games. However, there are people that seem to care a little too much and maybe have a little bit too much time on their hands, as there are PlayStation fans that have been writing emails to PlayStation about the whole multi-platform thing with the recent job posting that everyone has been talking about. And PlayStation, to their credit, actually did respond to these emails, as I'm sure they're just getting tons of them, at least from the minority of people that are caring that much about this, particularly on social media. But when you see an influx all in one topic, maybe they will pay attention to it. But it says here that PlayStation 5 fans against multi-platform games email Sony and get a response. And this is the response. So they were talking about PS5 first-party games, not putting them, I guess, on other platforms and keeping things exclusive. I'm not exactly sure what every email says because they don't point that out here, but I'm guessing that is the context in terms of what they will be setting to Sony and to PlayStation. Here's what PlayStation responds. While we continue to explore new ways to grow and evolve the gaming ecosystem, we are committed to preserving the unique identity that PlayStation represents. As we have in the past, we will always listen to feedback from our community, including valued players like you, and ensure that our decisions are aligned with the experiences you expect from PlayStation. So it's just corporate speak, really means nothing, that response. They're just, I guess, trying to humor them and responding to show them that, hey, we still care about you as a customer, which the reality is they're going to do whatever they want to do that will give them the most amount of money, that will increase their profit margins, that will give them good financial reports every single quarter for their shareholders. So it doesn't really matter how many angry PlayStation fans email them about this job posting. It's not going to change the direction that they are deciding to go based off of the numbers that they have behind the closed doors. I think Xbox showing up on 6 spots in the top selling games on PlayStation is going to push this even faster and further. As you know, PlayStation themselves want to end up on the top spots as a publisher on Xbox, on Nintendo, and on PC. And yes, games will come to Xbox, but I also think like the Nintendo Switch 2 being a huge player in Japan is another major reason why they are doing this. They really want to compete there and be able to make money off of gamers from the Nintendo platform as well. So I think games are going everywhere from PlayStation. It's just a matter of when, it's a matter of what, and it's a matter of how long after they release on the PS5, will they come to the other platforms, or will some of them come on day one? Some will come on day one when it comes to games as a service, but will there be those single player games dropping? Like, will Spider-Man come over? Will The Last of Us? Will God of War? Because that will be very interesting to see. But yeah, PlayStation fans, just play games. No need to go emailing PlayStation. It's not going to change their mind whatsoever, no matter what influencers are out there that are saying it. And if they do end up changing their mind, it's probably not going to be because of the emails that are being sent to them. It's going to be some other business decision behind closed doors as to why they ended up making that decision. A big game that is dropping here that I'm really looking forward to is getting some great reviews. So it's making me even a bit more hyped for it. I was going to play it regardless, but this is Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Is sitting at an 85 on OpenCritic and an 85 on Metacritic, getting 9s and 10s and 8s across the board. Side-scrolling Ninja Gaiden game, action game. Looks phenomenal. I'm very happy that they made this game, coming from .emu, which has put out some great side-scrolling action games and beat-em-up games and stuff. So I'm excited for Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, just putting that out there in terms of the reviews. If you are looking forward to it, looks like most of the consensus is that this is a great game, and to go ahead and check that one out. Now we have the Battlefield 6 showcase today, and we're also going to be getting, just out of nowhere, the Nintendo Direct that is happening here in July. I'm looking forward to this one. I feel like there's going to be a lot of Xbox stuff at this one, as people have been hinting that this is going to be a showcase that Xbox announces a lot of games coming over to the Nintendo Switch 2. I think people were expecting more with the launch of the Switch 2 at the previous Direct before the console did come out. That didn't happen. I feel like it will be happening here at this showcase, as this is a Nintendo Direct partner showcase specifically. So looking at third-party games coming over to the Nintendo Switch 2 and to the Nintendo Switch. But this is happening here at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for roughly 25 minutes. And they say information on upcoming Switch 2 and Switch games from our publishing partners. So we'll see what they show off here. I think lots will be coming from Xbox, but the other thing I do see from this is that it will really show us how competitive the Switch 2 is going to be in terms of playing all the AAA games that land currently on the Xbox and the PS5. I think they're already doing very well with that. When you're seeing some of the Ubisoft games come over, you're also seeing Cyberpunk run pretty well on the Switch 2, and I'm sure we will see more about those today at this partner Direct, as I've been enjoying my Switch 2. I don't like a lot of the moves Nintendo makes from like the consumer perspective. Like, they are not very consumer friendly with a lot of stuff that they do, but they make a good console and they make great games that I enjoy playing. So I end up picking it up, and I am enjoying my Switch 2. And finally, we got to talk about this. This is kind of a head scratching one, and this has to do with WB Games and the next game that they are working on. As we know, Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League was a failure for them. They lost like $200 million, and it was based on being a live service game, which people didn't want. They pushed back against it, and they spoke with their wallets. The game did not do well. And you would think, okay, they learned their lesson. Their WB is going to come back with another third-person action game, maybe another Batman game or something that would be an easy cash in for them. Well, it seems like they have not learned their lesson, as we have a report here on the next game that WB is working on. And it looks like they're just going down the same path as they did with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, based off of the style and type of game that is being reported here that they are making. It says WB Games Montreal is working on a AAA live service title based on DC Comics, and this is according to a new job listing that the game is a AAA live service title based on the DC Comics, and that it is Warner Brothers Montreal who is doing this. So very weird here as well. Tech for Gamers does spot this new job listing, and it's surfacing here saying your new role category clearly states the executive producer's duty would be to lead the development of a high quality AAA game based on one of the iconic IPs from the vast Warner Brothers and DC Comics catalogs. And the live service part comes in the execution and market readiness category, where they see here that oversee post-launch content and live service strategy, ensuring ongoing player engagement. A very odd decision. You think they would have learned their lesson, but maybe they're sitting back and thinking, well, they just didn't do it correctly and they have to try again. This time it will work, and this time they will do it correctly, and they'll be able to make that sweet live service money to make up for all the money they lost on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I mean, there's a chance if they show off the game and people play it initially in like a beta of some sort and love it, then maybe there's a chance. Because when they did first put out the beta for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, there was mixed reactions. The first trailer that I dropped, there was very negative reactions to it. They can avoid that, there's a chance, but I just think this is a very head scratching move. You'd think they would come back with a sure win, which would be probably another Batman game, or take another DC character and just make a single player experience action game, open world of some sort, if they want to make it last longer and get people's time really invested in it, or even just do a linear one and spend less on the development costs, and they probably would sell way more copies. But looks like they're working on another live service game. We will see when it is eventually, when it is announced. But I'll end the video there. If you did enjoy this game, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.